Well, time to eat crow, boys. I was wrong and you were right. The YouTube comment section, for once in your life, give yourselves a big round of applause. Everybody who's been skeptical of Bill Gates this whole time, I bet you're giving yourself just take a victory lap, okay? You get this one. These new allegations coming out on Bill Gates are so crazy, and it made me realize that I've been giving this guy a pass for too long based on his philanthropy work, which has laundered his reputation and ingratiated himself to a lot of people, including myself, who kind of saw him as just this lovable grandpa. Yeah, that turned out to be kind of a bunch of nonsense, as we'll find out in a second here. But here's me. I said, Bill Gates is canceled. And basically, it's a piece defending Bill Gates and saying, you guys got him all wrong. He's a lovable philanthropist. How much I have changed in the last 6 months, boys. How much I have soured on Bill Gates. Let me tell you, it's all because of the Epstein stuff. Watching this Epstein case come out and watching Bill Gates repeatedly lie over and over again, it made me realize there's not a good piece documenting these lies. Just lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. And because it was what convinced me to take a second look on old Billy Boy, I thought I'd share it with you because you might not be aware of how much Bill Gates has lied and tried to basically underplay his relationship with Epstein, arguably the worst person of the 21st century, the worst billionaire. Now, I'm not making this video saying all the comments saying that he's microchipping people. I'm not saying y'all are right, but what I am saying is that Bill Gates, he's not a lovable grandpa. No, actually, he was friends with for as long as he possibly could be until the PR just looked too bad for him. And then it seems like he tried to distance himself very poorly. And now it's cost him his marriage, and it may cost him his entire public reputation. And we're going to talk about it right now. We know traditionally you hang out with these kinds of people, chances are you got sticky fingers somewhere. So let's go through the evidence. We'll stick to the Epstein story because that's what's interesting to me.
In the latest fallout connected to Jeffrey Epstein, MIT is opening an investigation into its ties to the financier and convicted sex offender.
A journal citing several people reporting that one source of concern for Melinda, a global advocate for women and girls, was Bill's dealings with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
He also has one of the largest, most established foundations on his own.
Yes.
Why would they ever set up a charitable trust benefiting Jeffrey Epstein?
So let's start this web of lies with the first time it was announced that Bill Gates may have had something to do with Jeffrey Epstein. What did he say?
New York Times sheds light on the connection between Microsoft founder Bill Gates and the late Jeffrey Epstein. After Gates' name came up in connection with Epstein and MIT Media Lab, Gates gave a statement to the Wall Street Journal where he insisted he did not have any business relationship or friendship with Epstein.
All right, so no business relationship or friendship. You hear that? Nothing. This man's never seen the man, never met him. But oops, it looks like the New York Times found an email from Bill Gates talking about Epstein the first time they met, which is weird because apparently they had never met before. But he apparently praised Epstein, saying his lifestyle is very different. That's one way to put it. And kind of intriguing. That's really weird. Although it would not work for me, Mr. Gates emailed colleagues in 2011 after their first get together with Mr. Epstein. Now, bear in mind, of course, it's important to note, it was known at this time Epstein's misdoings. He had already been charged with solicitation of a minor, so that's really important. This is after the fact. Gates meets with him. So, okay. What do? Now, at this point, a spokesperson from Bill Gates told the Times that Bill Gates regrets ever meeting Epstein, noting that was an error in judgment to do so and at odds with Gates' personal values. So now we're led to believe that maybe he only met him one time. So, okay, here they make it sound like it was just a one-off meeting, a chance meeting, a mistake. He never did it again, right? Oops. Once again, according to the New York Times, Gates actually met at least 3 times in the guy's Manhattan townhouse, once staying late into the night. Does this sound like somebody who's not your friend? You know, you're hanging out with them all night. Does this sound like just a casual meeting of the minds? Only 3 times, guys. Only 3 times. Well, okay. So Bill Gates, they go, okay, maybe we did that. Maybe we met with them more than once. But hey, I never went to Florida with him. See, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal this time, we hear from Bill Gates. He says, I may have seen him a few times, but according to him, I met him. I didn't have any business relationship or friendship with him. I didn't go to New Mexico or Florida or Palm Beach or any of that, guys. But okay, he says he's never been to Florida, right? Oops. In a piece that is actually defending Bill Gates, we find that Bill Gates has lied once again. See, according to flight logs, Gates flew on an aircraft of Epstein's once, but this was to Florida. This is the place that he said he's never been. Never been to Florida. Actually, yes, it turns out maybe we did go to Florida. Hey, maybe one time. Florida, yes. Florida, yes. But what's the new lie? Oh, Mr. Gates apparently, who owns his own $40 million jet, hadn't been aware that it was Mr. Epstein's plane. This man, serial liar here. And he continues to deny and minimize and, I don't know this guy. Never met him. What? Who? This is the stuff that pisses me off and has made me totally rethink this man. But that was where the story pretty much lied until this Bill and Melinda Gates marriage kerfuffle. As you guys probably know, they got divorced. Very sad. We don't celebrate divorce here. So that's very sad to see. But what has come out of it has been very interesting in the Gates-Epstein relationship. Because several reports, if you've been following, about Bill Gates have come out. A lot of them with anonymous sources, which a lot of people are uncomfortable with, and I'll give you guys my take on that. Now, before we go any further, let me just kind of lay where we are with you with relation to the, what's been happening. Because all this bad PR has been coming out right after the divorce, and people are confused. Why? Why now? Where are these sources coming from? Well, many people, including myself, suspect the Melinda Gates PR team of releasing this data or releasing these sources sort of silently. And there's a lot of kind of good reasons for that. I mean, usually in an acrimonious divorce like this, you may see them both playing PR games. Like if you go onto Twitter right now, you'll find hundreds of people talking about Melinda Gates has the PR team royals think they have. What are the odds Melinda Gates' PR team drops new pictures of Bill Gates and Epstein before the end of the month? Most people are speculating that it's that divorce team, and that's actually why we're seeing these reports come out. Here's Sagar from The Rising. I think they usually have good takes. They also kind of have this theory.
Now, this is likely leaked from Melinda Gates' divorce team, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's probably is. And I do think that's worth saying that you probably do need to take it with a grain of salt. But why do we think this? Well, it's because these news outlets like the Wall Street Journal, the Daily Beast, the New York Times, all of them are running massive bombshell stories with anonymous sources. And you wouldn't run stories this big against somebody as powerful as Bill Gates unless the sources were really good. As someone who sort of had to deal with the problem of anonymous sources before, I've kind of had to grapple with how do you vet an anonymous source for your audience? And what you find out is you actually sort of have to be more careful with anonymous sources, not less careful, because if it turns out wrong and it turns out that anonymous source is lying, then it makes you look really bad. It makes you look horrible. So before doing this reporting, my guess is that these papers did their due diligence and they found out, okay, they're from the inside scoop. I mean, they have the inside story. A lot of them are citing it as people familiar with the matter. Okay, who's familiar with Bill and Melinda Gates' marriage? Who's more familiar than Melinda Gates or a spokeswoman for Melinda Gates? And they're never going to come out and say it out loud, obviously, for obvious reasons. It's a bad look. So instead, it's sort of leaked to the presses, etc. But with that context of where these sources are coming from, and also you should take it with a grain of salt, as well as realize that it probably is coming from a source who probably does know what they're talking about. Let's talk about what they figured out. The biggest report comes from the Daily Beast, saying Jeffrey Epstein gave Bill Gates advice on how to end toxic marriage, sources say. There's that sources say again. I think it probably should be read Melinda says. It's just my opinion, purely my speculation there. But what's really important about this is once again, we find out that we've been lied to again. Because after years of saying that they were not friends, yes, they may have met 3 times. Yes, they may have, stayed late. we now find out that the billionaire met Epstein dozens of times, which is many times more than previously reported. Previously, we had like 3 to 5 times we were thinking, maybe several times. Now we're hearing that it's dozens. These people were friends. They were close. They hung out. I mean, this is such a bad look. Going from no relationship at all, not, who is he, what, Epstein, to like they're buds. They go hang out when Bill's having a hard time with Melinda. Listen, I don't know about that part. What we do know is that they probably were really close. Everything we're seeing come out is saying that they're much closer than admitted. And everything we're hearing from the Bill Gates side is just the constant denial, but they've been denying everything from the get-go. So I don't put much stock in what they're saying. And one of the massive bombshells to come out of this is this part right here, where Gates apparently, far from being unaware of Epstein's whole problem with the law, actually wanted to help him rehabilitate his image in the media following his 2008 guilty plea. Sounds like a real friend there. And discussed Epstein becoming involved with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to rehab his minor for charge. Like, are you joking me? That is such a scumbag move. And by the way, plays into a lot of explanations for what we've been wondering for a very long time, because everyone is naturally wondering when they talk about, you know, Epstein and the Gates connection, because we were always told, well, they were just meeting for philanthropy. The question was, why? What is Gates, you know, this billionaire magnate with the most powerful people in the world that he knows, what does he need Epstein for? But now we might think that Epstein might have needed Gates, and Gates might have wanted to pay Epstein a favor by getting him involved in his philanthropy to rehabilitate his image. Going back to one of the earliest reports that we saw at the very beginning, we kind of can close a loose end here, which was why were they ever involved?
As an investigative reporter, why would Gates say, oh, I had no relationship with him, when of course he knows what the facts are? So that always sets off red flags for me.
That's a great question. Why did Bill repeatedly deny his involvement, relationship, underplay it? Because if it had all been truly innocent, if he had only met one time, maybe even 2 times with Jeffrey Epstein, that would be easy to admit to and move on. But if there's something more sinister here, then all of his denials and repeated, kind of downplaying of their true relationship would make sense. Now, beyond this, honestly, it just gets into conspiracy land, and I don't want to go there. I'm interested in giving you the facts where they lie right now and telling you that we've been repeatedly lied to by Bill Gates, and that this grandpa lovable philanthropist image may not be all it was said to be. And I wanted to get that to you. I can't go any further than that, but you can be sure, you could be damn sure, after being made look like a fool by Bill Gates because I defended him beforehand, and now I'm having to come out and report on this stuff, you can be sure that I'd be happy to report on news stories as they come out. I will tell you, I'll keep you in the loop. So if you're interested,
you guys tell me, I mean, if I'm wrong here, but I don't think there's ever been a fundraiser that started asking for $100,000 and ended up asking for $4 million each time, with some new little stretch goal, each one being a little bit more than the last one. I've just never seen anything like this. I made this GIF in the last video, and I thought, I wonder if that's a bit of a cheap shot. But now I don't think it is. If you don't know, guys, London Real on April 21, like literally a few weeks ago, he just started his digital freedom platform and was only asking for $100,000. Now, that goal was quickly met and stretch goals were created because, we got to raise more money. We got to raise money through the end of the deadline here because we're only fundraising till the Rose Ike stream, which was their big event. And we'll just keep fundraising and we'll put it towards new goals, and then we'll cut the fundraising off.
This is going to go on for another 10 days until Rose Ike, and we're shutting off. We're going to be closing down this fundraising campaign very soon. So again, we're closing this thing out on May 3rd.
We're not going to keep taking all your money. We know this looks kind of bad, but we're just going to keep raising money to the end of the fundraiser. And they did that, and they raised $1 million. And we've covered that in another video. But now, guys, and I can't believe I didn't see this coming, London Real now wants another $3 million for the digital freedom platform. And no, I'm not kidding you. You couldn't make this up if you tried. But now London Real After saying that he was cutting off the fundraising, well, we're cutting off the fundraising in previous videos, not even a few weeks old, now he's asking for $250,000 a month from the London Real Army in order to maintain the platform. Oh yes, even though the platform is just Daily Motion and Decast, no. Now we need another $250,000 a month for the next 12 months in order to do this. Because you know what? $100,000 wasn't enough. No, $100,000 wasn't enough. In fact, it seems like pittance now. That won't even cover 1 month of the digital freedom platform. $1 million wasn't enough. Now, Brian Rose is asking for a total of $4 million from his followers, all to be raised. Now, do these followers get anything besides a t-shirt, a few things like this? Do they actually get any stake in this platform that they're literally, spending all their money on? No. I mean, guys, let me know what you think of this. We're going to keep this short. See you in the next one.
That was phase 1. Now we're doing phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and lastly, phase 5.
Feel so alive! Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
We're closing this thing out on May 3rd. This is going to go on for another 10 days until Rose Ike and we're shutting off. Well, why are you doing this and why are you doing this and this doesn't seem right? Guess what? I can't tell you everything. If I had told you everything, Sunday wouldn't have happened. So unfortunately, even sometimes I have to kind of head fake you a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, at long last, after years of talking and calling out these day traders, one of them has called me out. Cameron Foose, who you may know because I made a video about him a few months ago. I'm excited to say that he finally responded, and I can't wait to watch with you guys. Let's take a little peek and see what we're in for. Woo! I'm excited. He's going to address the concerns. Guys, I may be taking an L here. It might be the first L I've ever taken in my life. I'm ready to take my lumps. Okay, Cameron, give it to me. But first, before we get into his whole takedown, let me remind you about what I originally said about Cameron. So first, I called him out for a fake woke transformation.
Successful people aren't happy. Happy people are successful.
Wow. Where he realized that suddenly he didn't need all this money and flashy lifestyle because honestly, he's still selling the same success he was before, but recently he's just reinvented himself under the guise of minimalism and being like super tan. Which objectively, hey, it's true. It's true, man. But he's still selling the same dream to people that he said he was no longer going to be selling. And specifically, recently it's taken the form of a Forex bot, which automatically trades Forex for you and achieves wild returns. It's basically the same BS passive income claims we've been hearing forever, that you can make above average returns in the market with zero extra work or risk, but instead of being explained by drop shipping or YouTube automation, or better yet, magic, the reason we hear this time is, of course, robots did it. Now, to be clear, trading robots do exist, but bad trading robots also exist. And robots and AI are buzzwords that people often use to make crazy claims and not get called out for it. Like if I tell you that I could make you 20% a month in the market consistently, you're never going to believe me. But there's a bunch of people promising that right now with an AI expert. Make a wild claim? Robots did it, baby. So in the last video, I pointed all this out and said that if Cameron really had a bot that he could make 2% a week with, like he was advertising in his link tree, he could have stuck $100,000 in the account and become a billionaire within 10 years. The fact that he's not doing that, instead selling the bot to you, should tell you everything you need to know about the actual usefulness of this bot. I wrapped up the video by pointing out that the broker he was using was unregulated and therefore dangerous. And overall, it was a pretty normal Coffeezilla video taking down yet another one of these millionaire day traders that's been around basically forever. So with that context out of the way, let's take a look at his video and see what he has to say about my arguments and how he argues against this.
Forex trading bots. I can't believe I'm actually talking about them because they're so controversial and stupid. I even got Coffeezilla coming after me, making a whole video about me talking about Forex trading bots. And I haven't even made a YouTube video about it.
Wait a second. You definitely did. In my video, I'm literally responding to your YouTube video about IQ Trade, the little trading bot you have.
This is my first one, but I don't blame him. I actually haven't even watched the video. It's probably pretty funny.
Wait, what? You're responding to my video without watching my video? What is this, dude? Is this the response response is just you didn't watch it and you're just gonna blindly make a video defending yourself without watching my video? This is insane. What?
That's why I haven't even made a video about our IQ Trade bot that I'm partnered with.
Again, yeah, you did. He's gonna say I'm partnered with IQ Trade, but that's fancy language for I co-founded IQ Trade.
And that's why I am behind this company, and I am the co-founder of IQ Trade.
Wait, are you behind it or did you found it? There's a big difference. I'm a big fan of the product. Also, I created the product. That's really important because he's going to talk about how he uses IQ Trade and he just likes the bot. But to be clear, he co-founded the company. You know, it's like being the inventor of the iPhone and being like, yeah, I really like the iPhone. Not biased or anything. I really like it.
Because we were beta testing, making sure everything was set before I could actually come out here and comfortably talk about this, even though Coffeezilla somehow found out about it through my Instagram or something. I don't know.
You made a video about it. This is not complicated.
Maybe I talked about it briefly in another YouTube video, and he just went full-blown ape shit on me.
Again, hate to be a little critical of you, Cam, but you're saying I went ape shit on you, but you didn't watch the video. So... I don't know what to say. I could have said you were a wonderful dude in that video and you'd have no idea.
Which is fucking hilarious. Coffeezilla, I'm a fan. I think your shit is funny. I take no offense. I would make a YouTube video about talking shit about Forex trading bots as well. But now, oddly enough, I'm actually using one. But only because I tested it and it was actually making me money.
Ah, this is really important, guys. He would be making a video about how big of a scam trading robots were, except he used it and it's making him so much money. Or is it because he co-founded the trading robot? I mean, guys, I always thought selling overpriced courses was a scam, and then I started one, and then I realized they're totally great. I mean, that line of reasoning is so bad. Like you're literally saying, hey, I've always said that these things were a scam, but then I built my own version of the scam and it isn't a scam anymore. So watching through the rest of this video, I'm sort of amazed at the cognitive dissonance because he seems to anticipate just how ridiculous it is for someone who's been talking trash about Forex bots forever to suddenly flip around and make one. And he also anticipates how ridiculous his whole scheme sounds, but he doesn't even try to cover for it.
If you followed me for the last 17 years of trading, you would know that I've always been a big proponent of talking shit about Forex, and especially talking shit about automated trading, because that sounds just absolutely ridiculous. Listen, if that actually worked, everybody would be making money and we'd all be rich and nobody would have to be doing anything.
Yeah, so what's your argument against that? Because you'd think I could press play right now and he'd give me a good argument for why his bot is different. Instead, the argument is robots are less emotional than people.
Here's the problem with humans as traders is one, we are emotional wrecks, especially when it comes to money and greed. The good thing about a Forex trading bot, if you set it up correctly and if you have the risk parameters set to protect yourself, there's no emotions involved. You give them a set of rules and they actually follow it and they don't break those rules. Sometimes those rules can be broken.
If I seem stunned right now, it's because I'm in awe of the ability to both like say why it's a scam, be like, yeah, automated trading's ridiculous. If it were real, no one would be working. Like, how could this exist? And then also simultaneously be selling automated trading without ever defending yourself. It's incredible. Look, I am stunned. I'm blown away. And the worst part of all of this is that he shills this unregistered broker again. We talked about this in the last video. He pitches you on something called Hey Forex, an unregulated Forex broker. So not only are you paying Cameron $125 a month for this ridiculous, unproven bot, but you're also told that Cameron has partnered with Hey Forex as their broker.
What is up, guys? Brief interruption here. I got some big news. Iconic FX and Cam Foose has just partnered up with HeyForex.com, the #1 trading broker in the game. And let me tell you why. First of all of you guys want low deposits. We got low deposits. All you guys want big leverage. We got 500 to 1. And not only is this a Forex broker, you can trade Forex, you can trade crypto, you can trade stocks, you can trade CFDs, which means you can trade gold, silver, oil, basically every asset. Never miss a trade again by partnering up with us and joining Hey Forex Broker. I just joined as well.
Now this is super important. Nothing he said is that great. 500 to 1 leverage will get you wrecked in the market. People don't know that getting those kind of account leverages, it's so easy to blow up your account. But as you'll find out, that's not that big of a deal. They kind of want you to blow up your account. In America, there's limits on how much leverage you can offer customers because people will inevitably blow up their accounts if you offer them too much. There's regulation around this issue. And then there's this point about low deposits. So who are we appealing to? I guess poor people with low deposits they can put in? That's who you're appealing to with this Forex broker? None of this makes up for the fact that they are unregulated. Unregulated brokers are never to be trusted. If you take anything from Coffeezilla, it's lack of regulation in banking or finance is a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's how con men thrive. Who's behind it? Nobody knows, right? Let's say tomorrow they freeze your assets. What are you going to do? Well, your only option is to go to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a Caribbean offshore tax haven. You literally have to fly there and try to beg these people for your money back. This is where it's located on a world map, ladies and gentlemen. No, good luck. Let me just say that. Good luck. And you could be mad at Cameron Foose, but really you should be mad at yourself for falling for one of these unregistered brokers. So the point is, why would Cameron be doing this? Why would he partner purposely with an unregulated broker who's using the same location as many other scam Forex companies? This is really important. Offshore Caribbean islands are constantly listed as the location of scam finance companies, whether it be Forex, whether it be crypto, whatever. In just one list of scam finance companies, I found 6 other companies known to be fraudulent that were listed as being at St. Vincent's and the Grenadines. So why would Cameron partner with an unregulated exchange? Well, the answer might be in their affiliate program where they offer revenue sharing with the affiliate. Because every time you trade on Hey Forex, there's obviously a fee for that trade, a spread on that trade, and the exchange makes a profit. If you get wiped out from a margin call, whatever, the exchange is making money, right? And when they make that money, they offer affiliates a whopping 30% commission on all of those trades. Doesn't matter the amount traded, 30% goes to your account, ladies and gentlemen. So the more you trade, the more fees there are. The more fees there are, the more money the exchange makes. And the more money the exchange makes, the more money the affiliate makes, who in this case is Cameron. So are you guys getting it yet? Cameron is financially incentivized for you to trade a whole bunch and sign up with Hey Forex, who's going to split that money with them. So then combine that with the fact that Cameron wants you to sign up with a trading bot, which can trade as often as IQ Trade wants, which he co-founded. So no matter what happens, he wins. If you get wiped out, he wins. He gets kickbacks from Hey Forex and IQ Trade. If you get lucky and make money, Cameron also wins and he gets kickbacks. Even if Hey Forex refuses to give your money back, Cameron still makes money. It's such a ridiculous scheme that it would almost be laughable if I didn't know that people are definitely probably putting their money here. And then unfortunately, this guy sits back and profits. But maybe you shouldn't listen to me, guys. All this talk about affiliate schemes and offshore unregulated brokers. I mean, after all, guys, Coffeezilla videos, according to Cameron Foose, are just full of a fan base who are all the losers who tried to escape the 9-to-5 and failed, gave up, and are bitter. So don't listen to me, guys. Be a winner. Don't be like those bitter losers who work 9-to-5 jobs. Instead, you need to be like Cameron Foose, because if you watch this channel, there's a very good chance, according to Cameron Foose, that you are a bitter loser. But maybe it's not just my fans that are bitter losers. Maybe it's Cameron's fans, actually, because in this video he uploaded, he had to delete all the comments and remove them because apparently they're getting so brutal that now there's just one comment on the video and it's just Cameron. There's 24,000 views and only one comment because apparently all the other ones are being deleted. Maybe his fans are also bitter, guys. Bitter, perhaps, because their icon, Cameron Foose, the legendary day trader, sold them out for a quick cash grab. Look, all in all, I would say I'm disappointed in Cameron. He had a chance to actually address concerns about his sketchy bot Forex partnership, and instead, he chose to ignore criticism, double down, and delete comments, and not really address any of my video, because he didn't watch any of my video. If he had, maybe he would have had something more interesting to say. Instead, it was just another sales pitch for IQ Trade, which is not his this bot that he just happens to be, interested in. He co-founded the bot. He makes money when you get into it. He makes money when you go to Hey Forex, an unregulated broker in some offshore tax haven, which good luck getting your money back from that. So I don't know. All in all, none of this sounds like the actions of a 3 guys were arrested today because of a single tweet, which exposed them for insider trading. But before we interview the man responsible for all this chaos, let me just say, this might be the single and only positive use of Twitter ever. Here I thought it was a place for mentally ill people like myself to seek attention and validation, but apparently you can also get people arrested, which is pretty cool, because the Department of Justice and FBI link a tweet in their indictment as if it was the thing that got the Scooby-Doo gang together. Now, as happy as I am that the Blue Birds solved the case, I have to say it feels a bit strange that the FBI is monitoring Twitter to catch actual criminals, and it sort of begs the question, what's the real future of police work? I'm sure a lot of people join up thinking they're going to be raiding houses, but maybe the future is you're raiding Minecraft houses. Maybe you build your career by busting a metaverse mafia. I mean, I guess on the one hand, it's a good sign that they're paying attention to what's going on out there. On the other hand, it turns out when you look into this, that the insider trading going on was actually pretty well known about. And that's why I brought on the man responsible for all of this, Kobe. He's a podcaster, famous crypto guy, but most importantly, he's the Twitter tweeter who got these guys locked up. And I was hoping he could sort of get me to the bottom of this, help me figure out how he found out about it. But the first thing he told me was actually that he was a bit disappointed in how things were being handled and thought that maybe people were focusing on the wrong issue. How's it going? How are you? Your tweet got someone arrested. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't feel great about that because the person I was criticizing is not the person that got arrested. The person that got arrested, it seems like collateral damage. I was criticizing the institution that the person that got arrested worked for. And I know the person that got arrested was doing something very silly and criminal and illegal. But yeah, I guess that is what happened. They got arrested.
It seemed like from my conversation with him, Kobe was more upset at the institution Coinbase where this happened than at the front runner themselves. This is despite Coinbase's CEO coming out today saying that they were part of the reason that this guy got arrested, they cooperated with the feds, etc. But Kobe doesn't see it this way. Coinbase, at least for a long time, hasn't been the solution. They've been the problem.
Coinbase has had listings front-running issues for a while. Originally, they only listed like Bitcoin, and they had this policy that they were only going to list like the best of the best. And then as time passed and we got to like the last couple of years and meme stocks became a thing, and obviously they went public, they started losing market share. So they sort of changed their policy and started listing like real garbage. But at the same time, they started having a lot of issues around people buying the garbage they were listing beforehand.
So people were making money on Coinbase front running these trades for years. They would just find out whatever Coinbase was going to list, buy it up before it listed, and sell it immediately after. In fact, it turns out it was such a problem that Coinbase tried to address this issue at the time, but with no success.
Then they published this blog post about how they're going to change all their listing processes so that this stuff cannot happen in the future and they can get better controls around it. And then at the very next listing, every single coin got front run once again. And I'm in a little group of crypto people who look at interesting blockchain stuff, and someone sent this Etherscan link and said, hey, has anyone looked into this? I think these things are going to get listed on Coinbase because they all got bought again by a person who front run successfully last time. Has anyone looked into, does anyone know what any of these are? Some of them seem like really garbage. I think one of them was called The Food or something. I looked at that link, I waited for the coins to get added. About 80% of the ones that were bought on this day were added. So then I tweeted the screenshot of everything he'd purchased and the blog post a few weeks ago saying we're tightening up our controls, just to say Coinbase is clearly incompetent at these issues. They're unable to stop it. No, they've just done this whole song and dance about how much they're going to improve the ecosystem and how much they care about getting these things right. And the very next coin listing has been front run.
Wow. This whole case contradicts Coinbase, who claims that they were actively monitoring for illegal activity. But honestly, from the looks of it, it looks like the only thing they were monitoring was Twitter, because ultimately they didn't launch this investigation until after someone had proved it on the blockchain. And it's probably time we talk about this investigation and the main guy arrested in this case. His name was Ashan Wahi, and he was an employee at Coinbase who was on the team responsible for listing the new crypto tokens on the exchange. He insider traded by buying the coins he knew they would be listing in a bit, and then after the price pumped, he'd profit by selling them, which is obviously illegal and market manipulation. And the only reason that there are 3 guys listed in this indictment and 3 guys who got arrested is because the employee decided that he wanted his brother and friend in on the scam. He wanted to share the wealth and share a jail cell, I guess. In total, they allegedly made $1.5 million, which honestly are rookie numbers. Let's be real, guys. You got to pump those up. I mean, they're going to go to jail and guys are absolutely going to be laughing at them. Like, you went to jail for $1.5 million in fraud. Like, do you need a baby bottle to go with your itsy bitsy fraud? This is sort of why I find myself thinking that Kobe's sort of right here, that maybe the most interesting part of this case is not the actual criminals, but the system that allowed this to even happen.
I don't think a guy stealing $1.5 million over the course of 18 months is even the interesting part of the story. The interesting part of the story is for 18 months, an institution had this guy in charge of like coin listing stuff, was unable to identify that he was just like stealing from people by front running. And then anonymous users on like the internet can find out about it, or I can tweet about it. And then all of a sudden there's an investigation into it. I just don't understand what processes they have in place for that to be how that works.
Now, to that very important question, what processes are in place, I think Kobe's forgetting about the most important process of all that clearly they have abided by, which is one that's even trusted by the FBI. You check Twitter. Although I don't want to just dunk on the feds and Coinbase here, because it does seem like they did a pretty good job investigating and arresting the guy after they found out what was happening. I'm talking about the main guy, Wahi, because according to the indictment, Coinbase was supposed to interrogate him when he suddenly decided to flee the country. He told them that he had a medical emergency involving his father. Wahi then purchased an airline ticket due to board only 11 hours later to flee to India, and somehow they caught him. I mean, despite almost no warning beforehand, they arrested him before he left the country. So bravo to that. That's pretty awesome that they were able to do that. But I also hope we're not learning the wrong lessons here, where we just punish a few guys for crimes that have been going on for years only after someone tweets about it. I mean, what's next? Are we going to make some TikTok deputies, some Instagram enforcers? I guess I get the irony that I'm the internet detective here saying that, but I do ultimately think there probably should be a division between influencers and law enforcement. I don't think those worlds should collide very often, but every now and then it does. Hey, Harry, don't freak out, but I know we've been working on part 3 for several days now, but we have to throw it in the trash.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we got to start over. I just got off the phone with the Nelk boys. There's so much to this story. It's convoluted, competing interests. It's just, we got to scrap it and start over. This is the video you are going to see about Nelk, Private Bet, and Wizza. But we've learned new evidence which has changed our perspective on this, not necessarily making anyone look better, more like complicating the story and making it more interesting. So this is us starting over and trying to make sense of a bunch of competing voices.
Me, Steve Dude LLC, and the Nelk Boys Enterprises, bro, like no one else, bro. We're not gonna take millions of dollars to our fans ever, bro. We won't take any sponsorship money, nothing, bro. Like,
hey guys, in the studio at night here, just had to scrap the 3rd video and restart. I mean, look, it's gonna happen when you're doing something like this. Sometimes the truth isn't what you expect. Then other times the truth is confusing or conflicting. Because some of y'all, I hate to say it, have lied to me. And let me say, stop.
Get some help.
No, but the point is that everyone in this story, honestly, it seems like they're trying to make themselves look as good as possible. And it's hard to know who's telling the truth. Like, it's almost like my job is a real life game of Among Us. Who is the imposter telling me lies? But we'll get to that, and we will catch those people. For now, I just want to catch you up to speed. And last thing, if you enjoy these videos, please pump the stock Zilla by subscribing. It's free. Might pay monthly dividends. Who knows? You know, one could say it's a gamble. Either way, let's go to the board and catch you up to speed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in the last video, we explained how these deals work with Roobet. These influencers get paid millions of dollars to stream themselves gambling, but they're not actually playing with real money. They're gambling with fake money coming from a sponsor that they all call Howie.
We just lost 15 racks. All right, whoa! Let's call Howie. That was a test. You might need to call Howie. You might need to really call Howie off screen, because that was.
Well, let's see what Howie's going to do. They just lost 15 racks. If you look at their Bitcoin wallet here, they're sitting at a toasty $0, okay? God damn. Don't worry, guys. Howie comes in clutch. Look at that Bitcoin wallet up top. They're back to playing Crash. Same exact stream that we were watching. God damn.
They're constantly asking this guy for more money because they don't want to gamble a dime of their own money. We literally traced the Bitcoin deposit wallets of these guys. They haven't ever put anything in.
Dude, Aiden Ross didn't put a dime of his money into that Bitcoin wallet address. How much money does Aiden Ross have in the account? $300,000. Ladies and gentlemen, where did he put the money in?
And of course, not only are they no stakes gambling while pretending to high stakes gamble, remember, because they're making millions of dollars on these deals, these influencers' lives are basically controlled by Roobet. Howie says jump, these influencers say how high. Literally.
Yo, Aiden, can you show me how to hop like a kangaroo while he's icy? Bro, why do you want me to do that, Howie? You're weird as bro.
What the did he ask for this time?
What's it hop, bro?
If Howie says fly to Mexico, you better fly to Mexico.
We're gonna be happy. We're going to Mexico. Now that we're at this lavish, luxurious villa, this other country, I can tell you why we got it, why we got the jet, why we did all this stuff.
Why?
We have officially partnered with Roobet.
It's actually quite bizarre to watch all these cool influencers dancing like puppets for Roobet, like a weird version of Squid Game. Do a strange task for lots of money.
Apparently, Howie has a challenge for us.
No, he's gonna make you do a kangaroo sound. I bet you. I'm out in this one.
A kangaroo
I'm stepping out.
That sounded like a kangaroo to me.
All I gotta say, the money must be very good for these guys to be doing that. But, of course, we know all that glitters is not gold. Sometimes these deals fall apart. And it turns out this was the case with the Nelk Boys and Roobet and Wizza. See, many people noticed when the Nelk Boys suddenly went from streaming every day on Roobet and being influencers on Wizza, their giveaway sister company, to suddenly being wiped off the website with no warning. None of the Nelk guys, except for Steve Will Do It, remain. Remember, our boy Alan is supposedly the #1 fan of Full Send.
These are the #1 fans of Full Send / Happy Dad.
Well, it all started falling apart with the giveaway of a Ferrari sponsored by Wizza that seeed too good to be true.
I think it just seems like a scam because it's too epic. Yeah, it's too good to be true, but it is true.
Ugh, famous last words, huh? I don't know how to say this delicately, but this thing was a disaster. Part 4 will explain a little bit more, but this thing looked completely rigged. And all of this caused an entire subreddit to be born called r/fullscam. And this subreddit became devoted to cataloging Nelk's missteps in the meticulous and obsessive way that only Reddit really can. Now, this is where the story diverges actually a little bit between what Nelk says happened and what Reddit says happened. The full scam page, for the most part, thinks that Nelk and Wizza were in on the Ferrari giveaway disaster. Nelk denies this, though. They said they had no control and were working on it as part of a standard promotion, saying that afterwards, they immediately cut ties with Wizza because they suspected something was up. I, of course, asked for proof. They sent me this. This is from the Full Send team on June 30th. Apparently, they were mad because Wizza had charged their international fans for raffle tickets for this Ferrari, even though there was no chance of anyone outside of the US winning. They said, quote, Nelk has received numerous complaints that its fans paid to enter for a drawing on Wizza even though they were actually ineligible, which resulted in them feeling scammed. Nelk's lawyers have advised that this was likely non-compliant with applicable law, and accordingly, Nelk would prefer that everyone be promptly reimbursed. And then a little bit later, the breakup text. So Nelk will not be able to proceed negotiating the Wizza or Roobet agreements further given the relationship between Wizza and Roobet and the recent developments. Wow. According to Nelk, they cut ties early with Wizza and Roobet. And honestly, that was probably a smart move. Although it looks like not everyone was on the same page because obviously Steve Will Do It didn't leave Wizza and Roobet. And we also know Lucas here also continued streaming on Twitch with Roobet. So it seems like there are definitely some outside deals going on, which will become interesting a little bit later. Now, the other interesting thing we learn here is that when Nelk backed out of Wizza, they were also out of Roobet. Nelk told me this is because Roobet and Wizza were package deals for them, which if you ask me, is weird. Why is a giveaway company and a offshore gambling site tying their promotions together? I mean, yes, they're owned by the same people, but it doesn't exactly mix. That'd be like a weapons dealer buying their firearms to also having to volunteer at the homeless shelter, or a smoking company making you adopt a kitten for every pack you pick up. I mean, it's a little weird, right? If what Nelk is saying is true. Now, I did talk to another few influencers who said their deals worked a little bit different and were separate. But either way, it raises a few eyebrows about where the money might be coming from for all these extravagant giveaways. I mean, listen, this might be the time for the tinfoil hat here, but go with me. What better way to get money for a McLaren that you're going to raffle off to your fans than from a lucrative, thriving, and maybe even offshore business you're running? Not accusing anyone here. I just want to say that if it were me, that would make sense, right? But it's important to say Wizza denies the possibility of this completely. They said, quote, Wizza and Roobet do not package their expenses. The two companies are separate entities and pay their own expenses. No one is concealing the overlap on the marketing team and the relationships they bring to the table. So there you go. Take it for what it is. I just thought it was weird that for Nelk, the deals were tied together. And speaking of Nelk, people were still upset about the Ferrari regardless of what was happening. And people quickly found out, looking behind the scenes, that it wasn't the first time they tried to give away a car.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the deal? Is that yours? How do you get this Lambo?
We teamed up with this company called Moose, and they just approached us. They're like, yo, we got a full send Lambo. We want to team up with you guys.
What's the company that, like, how do you just get a Lambo? I'm confused.
They just hit us up. Moose is this company called
Moose.
It's like a charity company. They bought the Lambo, and then we push it through our fans, and then they buy entries. And then
so it's like $1 entries. Wins. You can buy as many as you want.
Yeah, basically the exact same thing. Fans paid money for tickets to a raffle, and nobody really knows if the drawing was fair. Or in this case, if it even happened. No one knows what happened to the full send Lambo. It looks like the company Moose Gives was just a fly-by-night company that folded up and nobody got the car. Now, once again, I asked Nelk about this, and they responded, quote, we basically got effed over in almost the same sense as we did here with Wizza. This is a lesson to never partner with a company to give away anything ever again. They then talk a little bit about the agency they were working with at a time and ultimately say, the same as this Wizza shit, we really know as much as the fans if this giveaway was done legitimately or not. Shortly after, we fired WME for obvious reasons. And then they finally say, quote, we've done barely any brand deals and it always comes with the same type of BS. Lesson learned for good this time. So that's their statement. Oh, and they also say that they were only paid $15K apparently for this deal as well. And if that's the case, I think they should have just come forward and addressed this stuff sooner. But speaking frankly, this kind of thing, this giveaway thing is kind of like a fool me once, fool me twice situation. You know what they say about that, don't you? You better not fool me a third time. But of course, it gets worse. Yeah, because right after this disastrous promotion with Wizza and Roobet, they literally start promoting another gambling casino.
Private Bet has a pretty sweet deal for you guys right now. They actually have an 100% deposit bonus guarantee up to $500. All you have to do is use my code Kyle. Make an account on privatebet.com and DM him your username. And we're going to give away $250 to 100 people. So all you guys on privatebet.com, $250 each. Privatebet.com. We'll be doing this we'll do this a lot.
Now, this is totally weird for a lot of reasons. First of all, and obviously, nobody's heard of this website. Like when you look it up, it looks a little bit like brand new, and that's basically because it is. Its offshore parent company, XYZ Entertainment, as it's called, was created May 25th, 2021. This thing's like a little baby. So why promote it? I mean, why is a company like Nelk not going with an established casino instead of just like a brand new one like this? And this immediately got people thinking, there's got to be more to this story. And this got even more damning when some social media accounts called @Blackjack were found being used for private bet. Here they are right here. These have been since privated. And the reason they were privated is because they were tied back by a YouTuber named Harrison to people from Nelk. Apparently, Nelk's president, the president of Full Send, apparently owns those social media accounts. The obvious implication here being, of course, that Private Bet was owned or tied to Nelk more than previously known, which would obviously make sense of the reason that they're promoting this brand new casino. This was further confirmed on the Blackjack Facebook page, which was previously known as Private Bet, and before that known as Blackjack Ventures, and before that known as Full Send Blackjack. Now, I would show you some of Harrison's video uncovering all of this, but unfortunately, surprise, surprise, it was copyright striked by none other than Nelk. Now, I contacted Nelk about this because, of course, this seems extremely fishy, and they told me, hey, there's been a misunderstanding. They don't own Private Bet at all, but they know who does, but refuse to say. But apparently, they were working out a marketing deal with Private Bet and a social media deal. That's the reason their socials were connected, was because apparently Nelk owned some gambling social media accounts at Blackjack, and they were going to let them use them in exchange for a lucrative deal. So Private Bet was going to use @Blackjack, which was owned by Full Send, and Full Send was also going to promote them as a casino. This was the story that I was told. But they insisted that they never owned any part of Private Bet. Now, of course, I asked to see this marketing deal that was done, and they told me they'd love to show it to me, but it doesn't exist. They never actually finished the deal, which I found a little bit hard to believe. Nelk's story is essentially they promoted a gambling company offshore without owning it and without a deal talking terms. And this is right after getting burned by another company that they didn't own. Does anybody else think this is kind of a weird story? I mean, Nelk would tell you that they only promoted it for a few days before pulling out of the deal, and they say they're not going to do this any longer. But I know a lot of influencers, and almost none of them would promote a brand or product without any kind of deal first in writing, especially not a brand as big as Nelk. You're going to promote something without even a deal sketched out on a napkin? I don't know. I just don't buy it. And I told the guys at Nelk that I thought that there was something I wasn't being told. Because what doesn't make sense here is that Nelk keeps saying they've learned their lesson and need to stop promoting stuff they don't control, right? Like that was the lesson with Wizza. They didn't control it and they got burned. That was the lesson with Moose Gives. They didn't control it, they got burned. And then their story with Private Bet is that they don't control it. Now, when I told Nelk that basically I wasn't buying it, they said, look, we just didn't want to jeopardize a more lucrative casino deal in the future with an actual U.S. casino that's regulated. But that's the story. You can make up your mind for what you want to believe. I just want to present all the facts we have here. I just personally, the story doesn't make sense to me. But around this time, I was finding Nelk a little hard to believe. Something even more unbelievable happened. A supposed Nelk whistleblower suddenly appeared on Reddit on Full Scam, promising to expose them. The post is entitled, My Experience Formerly Working for Steve Will Do It and Nelk, posted by this guy, Zesty Close. The two giant claims I want to draw your attention to is, one, that Private Bet is owned by Kyle and the Shahidi brothers, and two, that the giveaway with the Ferrari was rigged for a stunt. I mean, wow, this could be big. And of course, I instantly reached out to this person. I said, are you willing to talk? And quote, what proof do you have that the Ferrari is rigged? He said, hello, I would love to help, but I just received an email from the Full Send team with a breach of contract. Luckily, they have not determined who has written the Reddit forum, as I worked in the Full Send and Steve's accounting, and another worker had left the day before me. And at this point, it looked like maybe this guy's the real deal, but he can't talk because he's under NDA. So the question is, how do we get him to talk? And as you guys know, meanwhile, I'm in contact with Nelk. So I start to hatch an idea of maybe how we can do this. So my plan was, I went to Nelk and I said, hey, obviously there's this guy on Reddit, you guys probably have seen it, who says he used to work for you, he's exposing you guys. Is he telling the truth? They say no. I say, prove it. And of course they said, how? So I tell him, look, if he's not a real employee, release him from his NDA. If he's just a fake employee, he's just using this NDA as an excuse not to prove he is who he says he is, right? And at this point, I got to tell you guys, there's a pause on the call as I'm basically asking them to waive their rights to an NDA. They discussed and they said, all right, done. Any NDA on this whistleblower of Nelk is null and void. Perfect. So I go back to our boy, Zesty Close, and I say, hey, I just got off the phone with the Nelk boys. They say you're actually completely in the clear to talk with me. So no breach of contract to tell me everything you know. If you are who you say you are, you have no fear of backlash. John and Kyle have cleared you to tell me what you know. And this is when our guy, our supposed whistleblower, Zesty Close, it's his turn to get quiet. He doesn't respond. And suddenly, his post, which was highly upvoted, is deleted. I asked, why? Hello, why'd you delete your post? He responded, hey, sorry, these last days have been really busy for me. Sorry if I take a while to respond. And I didn't. It got deleted by someone else. Don't know who, though. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little suspicious here. So I followed up for several days, and the guy just ghosted, right? This supposed whistleblower turned out to be completely fake. And I gotta say, partially in defense of the Nelk boys here, like, look, get mad at them for the Wizzo stuff, Moose Gives, or the private bet story of theirs. But don't make up stuff pretending to be an ex-employee. Like, if you're that desperate to expose someone that you fabricate working with them, aren't you worse than the people you're exposing? I don't know. I just wanted to say that. But despite this being cleared up, I'm still not done with Nelk here. Because believe it or not, we still have one final piece of the puzzle, and it comes from Lucas, one of the Nelk boys, also known as Gaspo Show on Twitch. And by the way, this guy, the second we mentioned we were doing a story on Rubet, all his videos on YouTube and Twitch were deleted. I wonder why. Same with Steve will do it, by the way. But anyways, remember we said earlier that Lucas and Steve continued to stream on Rubet well after June 30th when supposedly Nelk broke off the contract, and apparently it was because they had their own deal. Well, Lucas apparently was up to some sketchy stuff, according to a former moderator who provided extensive evidence and accused Lucas of rigging stream giveaways with Rubet. That's right. If you don't know, one of Rubet's big things is all the streamers apparently give away a portion of what they won at the end of their stream. It's the reason that Rubet streamers are always talking about how much money they're giving away. As Lucas explains, all you have to do is create an account with Rubet and you too can win.
Make sure you guys are using promo code Lucas up here. LUCAS. Collect that shit. Make a new account. Do what you got to do. Helps you guys out for the giveaways a whole lot. So if you guys want free money, man, all you got to do is that.
Free money. That's right. These guys, if you use their code, they're going to give you free money. But apparently that's false because allegedly Lucas was scamming people by not giving away money randomly to his viewers, but instead giving it away to himself and his moderators. Here's how it apparently worked. Moderators would create a series of shell Rubet accounts, brand new accounts like this. Accounts like Ricks and Morty, Icy Drops, Merch Buyer. Several accounts just like these would be created all on the same day, would be fresh accounts, and then would happen to win the giveaways of Lucas, but they were really controlled by his moderators who were feeding him names. The way it worked was allegedly one of the moderators, Nate, would send Lucas names ahead of time, and Lucas would select the names that he knew his guys controlled. According to a statement from the whistleblower, quote, Nate had set a certain type of order in Lucas's streams. He became the main guy controlling things like Lucas's TikTok account and making sure staff were paid. Things stayed like this for 3 weeks. Nate would message us asking us for our Rubet names and making sure we would be paid. And at first, I didn't bat an eye or anything. And this guy went so far as to actually send me the blockchain wallet where these accounts were winning on July 30th, for example, when all these shell accounts were created. As you can see, here's some winnings on July 30th coming from the Rubet hot wallet itself. And allegedly, Lucas not only paid his Twitch mods with this, he would also get a cut of these supposed giveaways he was doing. Now, of course, I confronted Lucas on this, wanting, of course, to give him the chance to comment. He refused, and instead I just heard that he no longer wants to stream gambling anymore. That about figures. Now, what does all this mean, right? I'm throwing a lot of facts at you guys. Let's put it together for a second, please. As we found out, there's a lot going on, right? Contracts being broken, fake NDAs, fake whistleblowers, Nelk's story about private bet, which sounds fake to me, and of course, Lucas's fake giveaways. I think the common thread here is kind of clear. But more than that, I really think what we're seeing is a group who can't decide what their ethical line in the sand is. On the one hand, some of Nelk says they're done with Wizza after they suspect them of scamming their international fans. Well, at the same time, other members of Nelk are still their #1 promoter. You see one part of Nelk say they're done with Roobet, while the other part of Nelk is busy running a giveaway scam on Roobet. You have one part of Nelk saying they're done with sketchy brand partners they don't control, and then they go out and promote this. Supposedly, another brand they don't control because they never had a deal worked out. I think it's honestly sad because without all this sketchy stuff, I think Nelk could probably ride this Full Sin brand into the sunset, making millions of dollars off merch and happy dad dollars. But instead, it seems like they can't keep their members from reaching their hands in the cookie jar. And if they keep doing that, the name Full Scam is eventually gonna stick. If I laugh, my editor gets a raise. Say hi, Harry.
Hello there.
Hello there.
He's the mastermind behind all these videos you see. And today we see if he gets a raise or is still an unpaid intern.
All your monthly earnings are mine.
All right, let's get into it. Stop. Wait. Don't do it. Oh no. Okay, this is pretty good. Hey, this is not fair.
My God.
You're starting with the best ones. Well, hey, that's pretty good.
I've got to kick it off with a bang.
Okay, so to be clear, Harry, you chose these memes, okay? So if I don't laugh, it's your fault. Just so everyone knows, okay? This is your best shot. That was pretty good. But I'm not gonna laugh again. You get one raise today.
Next into the tank is a kid entrepreneur who wants to help other kids fulfill their entrepreneurial aspirations.
Not a chance. Look at me, Harry. Not a chance.
Hi, Sharks. My name is Jack Bonneau. I'm the founder and CEO of Jack's Stands and Marketplaces, and I'm from Denver, Colorado. Sharks, I'm seeking $50,000 in exchange for 10% of my company. I'm 10 years old, but when I was
$50,000 is not a small amount of money. I'm here to make money.
Let him finish, Kev.
So my parents loaned me $1,000.
Are you serious? Are you serious? He's an idiot. He's a con artist. You. We're all out. You're a get the out of here.
Oh! Won't want to be ya.
Not a chance. Get out of him! Get him out of here, dude! Get him out of here! Is this an edit? They didn't do this. Obviously, this is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty. Hold on, let's finish it real quick. Whew.
I'm telling you, whether it was you or me or Robert or one of us, he was going to do that to somebody. It just happened to be you were the last guy.
I realize he's a gold digger.
He's an idiot. He's a con artist.
Kevin, don't feel bad.
I don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad.
Almost got me at the end.
Nearly,
Listen,
so close.
listen. Hey, that's just me taking money, giving it back to myself. There we go. I gave myself a raise today. Good for me.
You like stealing it from kids too.
Wow. No. How to increase social credit?
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，电视。
Wow, that came out of nowhere, dude. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I have to start that over. Okay, I lost already. Wow, that was really funny. Where did that come from? Where did you find this?
I found it being chilly.
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，电视，速度与激流。
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片。
Wow.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港这座城市的设置，主演钱和乐。
This is a bit. Wow. This is getting a little bit weird.
这座城市
Just a little bit. Oh my gosh.
大会主席先生，世界卫生组织战士。
Okay. All right, you got me. Okay, okay, let's oh no. Not Drake. Don't do it like don't do my boy Drake like that, okay? Hey, he doesn't have a lot in this world. Start the meme.
So the dentist says to me, "We'll clean your teeth another day. Here's $200. Go show my niece a good time."
You didn't get me. Yes. Yes. By the way, I think he backed out of the debate. I mean, I pinged him. I don't think he wanted to debate, said he was going to debate. I don't know what happened. Here's the next meme. Let's go.
If you give me Bitcoin, you will get $100,000 stacked in cash, no joke. Click the Bitcoin.
You know what's great about that one? I've seen it. That's why I didn't laugh.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're gonna give me reused memes. I'm gonna give you no money. That's what's gonna happen.
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
Purpose in this life is to do rips. What puts joy in your heart? Let it take you over. Feel it in your fingertips. You're about to rip. But what's at the end of the rip? At the end of a hard rip, there has to be a dip. It has to... You must die so you can rise up. Rise. God put you here to rip and dip. So why don't you keep ripping until that dip dips and you die so you can be resurrected.
Stop, dude. Stop. You freaking... That's cheating, dude. You got something that was already funny to me and you just played it again. And I'm stupid enough to laugh at it?
Yeah, but
wow,
someone from the community's edited this. You know, it's brilliant stuff.
I'm going next.
So this is my first time having Jack in the Box. I got a soda, curly fries, and of course a crispy chicken sandwich. So let's try the crispy chicken sandwich.
Wait, before you watch the next
your laugh makes it way funnier, but that was not funny on its own.
I prepared these the other day, and it's just making me laugh watching them again.
Let's go to the next one.
How many hours you spend in front of the TV, and when was the last time you read a book? Poor people watch TV, and rich people read books.
Not yet. Wait, I didn't hear what he said. If you what?
If you like smoking weed, say hell yeah.
Oh god. Harry, you know what? I expected better of you, okay? Answer it.
It's 3 in the morning. I am in a nest of demons. They have cleverly shifted their shapes. One of them is taking the form of a little old woman. You can barely see her horns. She have tried to poison me already. These rats are very clever.
If you say the N word, you win 100.
Okay, wow. Wait.
Okay,
Wait a second, dude. You know what screwed me up about that is that it was that the last meme was so not funny and that was so jarring. That makes me mad that I laughed at that. Okay, you kind of trapped me there. All right, for Habibi's carrying you, dude. You should share half your profits with him.
He's great. He's fantastic.
I just want to say thanks, Dad.
Woo! Hang on. Reset. Hold on. Guys, if you guys don't know, Harry used to edit for Brian Rose. Let's not make a big thing out of it. Let's not make it a big deal. He used to be on the dark side.
I came back, guys. I'm okay now.
This is a travesty. This is ridiculous. This is disrespectful.
I bet Brian never gave you 4 raises in 1 year.
No, actually, no, he definitely didn't. Let's not get into that. Jesus
Love
Christ.
you very much.
Did you make this?
No, yeah, not recently.
Daddy didn't love me. Daddy wasn't there. Someone had some daddy issues.
Has his birthday soon.
Oh, would you like some champagne?
Okay, we should probably tell people that that just in case we have to cut this meme, that I did laugh at one of these memes, but it was copyrighted. In the spirit of good sportsmanship and in the spirit of Christmas, I'll give you that one.
Oh, thank you. You're not like Brian Rose.
That's 5 raises. Not 10. 5 raises this year alone. Incredible. Good job. You've done well, Harry. You've worked very hard this year. We appreciate you.
No, thank you. Appreciate it so much.
You had your fair shot. This is sort of like what I call employee Hunger Games. And you did well. You did well for yourself. I'm proud of you. You can split your prize with Just Habibi. You can do whatever you want with your prize. Guys, don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Pump the stock. Guys, we need to save the kids this month. We do it if we hit 1.
Previously on Coffeezilla.
This case isn't an ordinary one. For all the crypto you've been talking about lately, you've overlooked the biggest fraud of all.
What do you mean?
Have you ever heard of a coin called Tether? No, seriously, what do you know about Tether? That wasn't rhetorical.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to be cool.
Well, stop it. It's cringe.
Okay. Wait, what was the question again?
Never mind. I'll just tell you. Imagine for a second you had a money printer. A real one.
So, basically the government.
Correct. But imagine it's not controlled by a centralized government. Imagine it's owned offshore, unaudited, unaccountable.
That's impossible. No one would ever accept that currency.
Tether is that money printer. Only a few days ago, $1 billion worth of Tether was printed out of thin air. Before that, $1 billion more. It's in circulation today.
I think I need another drink. Sorry, explain this from the beginning. How does Tether work?
No problem, but you're gonna need a lot more than one drink.
What happened last night? I need some coffee. Oh, no. Okay, come on, Stephen. What time is it?
Oh boy. All right, we gotta make this video already.
Come on. Remember why you do this.
Okay. Come on, we can do this. Hey guys, welcome to an. Come on, Stephen. Got a video to make. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to a special episode inside of the $10 million studio. Today we have a very special episode. If my head would stop pounding for a second. Sorry, you wouldn't believe the night I had even if I told you. But none of that matters, okay? Look, because I got to get this video out. After all, I always remind myself why I do this. For the fans. So, today we need to talk about Tether.
Tether is suspicious. Maybe it's not fully backed.
They're creating more out of thin air and then using that to buy and accumulate Bitcoin.
Because there is no transparency in Tether. That's the problem, is they were issuing Tether in whenever it was needed out of thin air. It was not backed by dollars.
There might be a fair amount of gambling mentality coming into that trust.
Tether is a cryptocurrency that, well, the best I can explain it is either deeply misunderstood or the biggest fraud in the world. In this video, I want to lay out evidence and let you decide for yourself. Is Tether a fraud? Legally, I can't say that it is, but if it is, and that is a big, juicy, legally compliant if, it's about to be bigger than Bernie Madoff. For context, Bernie Madoff's victims lost $64.8 billion. The current value of Tether is $62 billion. And at its current rate of growth, it climbs $1 billion every 4 days. By the time you're watching this, the value of Tether will be more than Madoff ever had in investor funds. Now, if it's not fraud, and that is possible, this video will be about bureaucratic incompetence and lies. Now, maybe this is the first time you're hearing of Tether or stablecoins, and you're thinking, I don't hold any Tether, so I don't have to worry about this video, right? I'll just hold Bitcoin. But here's the problem. Even if you're not invested in Tether, you are exposed to the fallout of a Tether crash, whether you realize it or not. See, Tether is the backbone of liquidity in the crypto market. It's one of the main ways people buy cryptocurrencies. And it's the largest crypto by trading volume, even bigger than Bitcoin. So if Tether disappears overnight, all that liquidity disappears and the price of crypto could come crashing down. All crypto, not just Tether. So that's my quick soft pitch for why Tether is important and why you should sit here and listen to what is probably going to be a very long video, which at times will feel like the accompanying audiobook to this image. All right, before we get started, I want to do some real quick housekeeping and address some criticisms right off the bat. This video will be labeled, unfortunately, as FUD by most of the crypto world. This is an acronym crypto fans use to dismiss criticism. It means fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But the way crypto influencers use it, you'd think it was more like an enchanting spell to keep the mean old bear market away. Here's how the average crypto YouTuber will respond when you show them this video.
But there's also more FUD. The latest FUD, I should say. I'm going to address the FUD. I think it's just FUD. And also why I think we should ignore it.
It's all FUD all the time. Bad FUD. I do not like that FUD. I do not agree with that FUD. I will ignore that FUD. Look, you don't have to agree with my opinions on Tether or conclude that it's a fraud in this video. As I said, I'm happy if you decide either way. All I ask is you keep an open mind and watch the whole video before deciding you were right all along. Number 2, this video is not attacking crypto as a whole. I'm still invested in multiple tokens and I plan to stay that way. This is because I'm invested in crypto for the long haul, and I think in the 5 to 10 year time horizon, this won't matter. If it does matter, well, we're all going down together, boys. I mean, that's all I can say. But that said, I do think it matters in the short term. I think Tether matters a whole lot. And the bigger Tether is allowed to grow unchecked, the greater risk they pose to the crypto ecosystem as a whole. All right, with those things out of the way, let me explain Tether as fast as I can. Okay, so first things first, what is Tether? First, we should distinguish that Tether Limited is the company that produces Tether coins. Tether coins, or simply Tethers, are what is known as a stable coin in crypto. They call it a stable coin because that's exactly what it's supposed to be, stable. 1 USDT, for example, is always supposed to be worth exactly $1. Stable. Get it? Now, technically, stable coins can be pegged to anything. You can have a stable coin for a euro. You can have a stable coin for gold. You can have a stable coin for anything. And stablecoins are useful for a lot of reasons. They let you get around regulation easier, you can keep US cash on foreign crypto exchanges, and many other fancy things. But back when Tether was created in 2014, it was the first of its kind. Early on, this was Tether's #1 claim. Every Tether is always backed 1-to-1 by traditional currency held in our reserves. So 1 USDT is equivalent to 1 USD. And how it was supposed to work in theory was that you would give Tether $1 and they'd mint you 1 Tether. You could then go spend that Tether on crypto or whatever you wanted. And if you ever wanted to redeem that Tether, you could go back to Tether Limited, the company, give them your Tether, and they'd give back to you your $1. And then they'd burn that Tether token so it doesn't exist anymore, thus maintaining the exact balance of money in Tether's reserves to the number of Tethers that have been issued. In theory, that's how it's supposed to work. Here comes the first sign of trouble. See, people started to notice that actually, in Tether's terms of service, Tether doesn't actually have to redeem anything if they don't want to. It's literally in writing. Right here, Tether reserves the right to delay the redemption or withdrawal of Tether tokens. Then, again, if you didn't believe me, even more specifically, Tether reserves the right to redeem Tether tokens by in-kind redemptions of securities. In other words, if you decide you don't want these Tethers anymore and want them redeemed by Tether, as was always intended, they do not have to give you your money back. But look, I can hear you guys already. I'm sure you're saying, look, this is just FUD. Just FUD. Ignore it. Everything's fine as long as the money's there, right? Thank goodness Tether is a transparent company that publishes their reserves daily. Only wait a minute, this section has been changed. See, going to the Wayback Machine back in 2017, Tether promised that their reserve holdings are published daily and are subject to frequent professional audits. Whoops, it's actually been half a decade and there hasn't been a single audit. So I guess the boys decided it was better to scrub that from the website real quick. and change it. But don't worry, guys. Some of the executives at Tether are willing to assure us that there's no cause for alarm. The money's there.
I agree that could be handled better, but all I can say is that money's there. I promise you that.
Money's there. We promise you that. I'm sure that's the thing crypto fans love to hear. You know, the same people who made their rallying cry, don't trust, verify. Yeah, I'm sure promises are basically the same thing, right? But don't blame Tether. It's not their fault. See, if you keep playing that call we were just listening to, you'll hear the real reason for the lack of an audit.
And, we're constantly looking for solutions to make that more transparent. It's not that easy. There's so much negativity surrounding it that nobody wants to touch it. Auditors don't want to work with us. Other people, it's just, I don't know quite what to say about it. I mean, it's like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Everybody looking at it actually affects the system.
That's right. If you look too close at their funds, they might just vanish. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Maybe it's more like Madoff's uncertainty principle. But according to Tether, that really is the reason they haven't been audited in 6 years. It's that securing an audit from a top auditor is difficult. They simply can't find one. But that actually isn't true. The truth is, they actually had an auditor. Someone ready to do an audit, someone named Friedman LLP. But in 2018, Tether bailed in the middle of the audit, complaining that Friedman was being too, and I'm quoting here, excruciatingly detailed. Yes, you heard me right. The reason an offshore digital dollar printer can't get an audit is not because they couldn't find one. It's because the auditor that actually agreed to it was asking for too much information. Sorry guys, no audit today. Too busy changing the financial system. Look, audits are too time-consuming, according to Tether. But don't worry. Even though Tether doesn't have to redeem your crypto bucks, and even though they've never been audited despite saying they would be, it's actually the least of your worries. See, you should get really concerned when another shady company enters the picture with ties to Tether. That company is Bitfinex. And I know what you're thinking. Another stupid name that's confusing. And I get it. Writing the script, it's kind of like trying to explain the plot of a Christopher Nolan movie, and not the good one. Just bear with me, okay? Bitfinex is a crypto exchange like Coinbase. And early on, it was the most popular crypto exchange where people could buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Pretty soon, people got pretty suspicious of the ties of Tether and Bitfinex. Bitfinex was the first and main exchange where Tethers were traded for a long time. So people began thinking, if, let's just say, somehow, the largest crypto exchange and largest stablecoin were somehow in bed together, that'd be kind of bad. Because after all, an exchange could collude with that stablecoin to get to a place where they're basically infinitely printing tethers, using those tethers to go buy Bitcoin on the exchange they own, and it'd always be worth $1 on that exchange, use them to back those tethers or convert it to USD, and then you just never redeem the tethers. Huge pile of cash from absolutely nowhere. Crypto certainly wouldn't be new to such a complicated scheme. Mt. Gox and Quadriga CX were both crypto exchanges that used their ownership to profit and ultimately rip off a lot of people. They both eventually went bust. So people were understandably concerned, and they asked directly, are Bitfinex and Tether owned by the same people? And of course, Bitfinex and Tether replied with the tried and true strategy of everyone who has nothing to hide. They lied. Here's Chief Strategy Officer Phil Potter denying this, saying that Tether and Bitfinex just banked at the same bank.
So people that are confused right now, basically Tether is Finex, right?
No, it's not, but we bank with the same banks.
This has to be the worst excuse of all time. Oh, we bank at the same banks. No relation. We just see each other in line withdrawing huge sums of cash. No, we just say hi to each other across little cubicles. It's ridiculous. Look, fast forward to 2017. Of course, the truth comes out after the Paradise Papers are released. You know, those like major leak of offshore shell company documents. It turns out one of the companies leaked in that was Tether. And it was revealed that, in fact, Bitfinex and Tether weren't just in bed together. They were owned by the same people. That's right. Phil Potter and Juan Carlo Devasini both had their names on Tether's incorporation. And here's Phil Potter later revising his lie.
We, Bitfinex, are majority owners of Tether. This is true. But Tether is a completely segregated entity. Dollars are all there.
Isn't it so funny that he always has to reassure people, hey, dollars are there. Now, at this point, I think it's becoming obvious that the owners of Bitfinex and Tether aren't exactly your typical executives. So I'd like to introduce you guys to exactly who's behind these two companies, which are basically the same company. They're owned by the same people. Because at its heart, this is really a story about trust. Can Tether, or Bitfinex, be trusted? We've already established multiple lies. But now let's look at the background of these individuals. I contacted a man named Bennett Tomlin for this. He investigates fraud full-time and is currently writing an entire book about Tether. I asked him to break down the background of these individuals, and here's what he told me.
Bitfinex was founded in 2013 by Raphael Nicolay. By day was a help desk technician, and by night spent his time looking on Bitcoin Talk for Ponzi schemes he could participate in. Famously, he lost a bunch of his Bitcoin in the Trendon Shavers Ponzi scheme, which was later brought down by the Department of Justice. And then he tried to start his own high-yield lending program, where people could lend him their Bitcoins, and he would use what he called arbitrage to earn them a guaranteed 2% per week on their Bitcoins. After people were not interested in giving their money to a Ponzi schemer, he decided to start Bitfinex. He was later joined at Bitfinex by Juan Carlo Davasini, currently the chief financial officer for both Bitfinex and Tether, who previously was a software pirate. He got in trouble for selling pirated Microsoft software.
And that was a lot of money, wasn't it? Like, that he got in trouble for.
No, it was a relatively small amount. It's a currency conversion factor, makes it seem bigger than it was. It was like, I want to say it was like 18 million lira, which at the time converted to, I want to say like 100,000 USD. So it was a relatively small fine for that. Yeah, and so then they were later joined by Phil Potter, who for a long time was the chief strategy officer of Bitfinex. He came from the New York financial scene. He was once profiled in a New York Times piece where he bragged about his wealth and how much money he was making. And very shortly after that, he lost his position at Morgan Stanley. And then Tether was started by initially a different cast of characters, led by Brock Pierce. Brock Pierce was a famous child actor who starred in films like The Mighty Ducks. He's more known for fleeing to Spain with indicted child sexual predator Mark Collins Rector, where both of them ended up getting arrested in a house full of child pornography. He started initially Realcoin, which became Tether, along with a couple of other people who he had previously worked with, including Jonathan Yentis, who helped him at IGE, which was a company that started surrounding farming MMO items. So they would hire out people in various countries to earn these items and then would sell them. Secondary market. Yeah, and then Realcoin was bought out by Bitfinex and became Tether, and when it was incorporated, had basically the same executive team as Bitfinex.
What can you tell us about Paulo, who later joined the team?
Paulo is a little bit interesting because he doesn't have the same kind of past that some of these other characters do. Him and his wife Claudia, who is the chief operating officer for Bitfinex, both joined in, I want to say 2015. They both had a previous history as fintech developers, and as far as I can tell, they seem to be competent fintech developers. The most interesting thing to me about Paulo is one, that it's him and his wife working together for Bitfinex and Tether, and two, that so there was a document leaked that at one point Bitfinex leaked that showed that Paulo was one of the directors for Delchain, which is it's a cryptocurrency focused offshoot of Deltec Bank, which is where Tether now banks. And so it seems that Paulo might be connected pretty deeply to Tether's bank.
Tell me about Stu Hogner, their general counsel.
So yeah, Stuart Hogner is the general counsel for Bitfinex and Tether. He has a history in cryptocurrency and also in online gambling. He was the director of compliance at Excapa, which was an online poker company most known for being the parent company for Ultimate Bet. Ultimate Bet got in trouble because they were giving some of their players a god mode that allowed them to see the other players' cards, which would obviously be an advantage if you're trying to play poker. So that happened while Stu was the director of compliance for Excapa, and then shortly thereafter he left.
this is all shocking because these are the people sort of facilitating the currency that is the backbone of crypto. It's like the leading liquidity provider. And what you're telling me is these are not savory individuals for the most part.
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
This is starting to look bad, huh? But don't worry, it gets way worse. Around 2017, okay, people began criticizing Tether sort of seriously for the first time. And it started with someone named Bitfinex on Twitter. Bitfinex has been by far the most vocal critic of Tether, and I interviewed him to ask him what made him first suspect something was wrong.
Starting in late March 2017, I noticed unusual trading on Bitfinex that seemed to match the trading that I saw on Mt. Gox when Mt. Gox lost banking. I was alert but had nothing concrete about their banking situation until April the 5th, 2017, when Bitfinex attempted to sue Wells Fargo. Their lawsuit indicated that they, Bitfinex and Tether, had no banking at all, and despite this, Tether continued to issue tens of millions of dollars of Tether despite Bitfinex and Tether being unable to receive transfers. I suspected fraud and started my Twitter account.
Now, in response to this criticism, Tether panicked. And even though they would never end up getting an audit, they decided to release a third-party attestation to show that they really had funds in reserve to back up their tethers. 400 million tethers, in fact. But real quick note, an attestation is not an audit. An audit is a detailed forensic look of your accounts. An attestation can be as simple as a peek into your bank account to see that the money's there for a very short amount of time. This is what that attestation looked like. Now, at the time, many saw this as proof that Tether was in fact backed. It sure looked like they had $400 million in the bank, and everyone in crypto also had good reason to want to believe this as well. Everybody was making money, to put it frankly. After all, the more money Tether printed, the higher Bitcoin's price would rise. So it was in everyone's interest who held Bitcoin, or crypto for that matter, to keep the gravy train going. The only problem was, with this attestation, it turns out that some funny business was going on. See, it was found out later in a New York Attorney General investigation that something very shady had happened. Tether had convinced their third party to conduct his attestation or snapshot on a very specific day, September 15th, 2017, with Noble Bank. On September 14th, the day before that happened, Tether didn't have an account with Noble Bank. On the day of the snapshot or attestation, Tether opened a bank account where they supposedly had reserves all along, and Bitfinex, the other company, which they have nothing to do with, transferred $382 million into that account. That night, the attestation was done, and everything appeared in order. But no one knew that the funds supposedly backing Tether arrived there that day.
Suspiciously, the price of Bitcoin also suddenly fell by around 40 to 50% in the 2 weeks prior, leading some to believe that someone was selling bucket loads of Bitcoin. The price recovered immediately after the attestation and was the largest 4 hours of buying in Bitcoin's history on the same day.
Don't forget that only minutes ago, Phil Potter claimed that Tether and Bitfinex were completely separate entities.
But Tether is a completely segregated entity. Dollars are all there.
But now we find that they're actually commingling funds. But even this ruse didn't save Bitfinex and Tether completely. They may have warded off public opinion for a little while, but their critics were growing louder than ever.
The Friedman attestation was worthless, and I called it as such at the time.
But a big shadow loomed over the project that not even their critics could have seen coming. You see, around this time, Bitfinex and Tether were having banking issues. It wasn't uncommon for crypto companies to have trouble finding banks to work with. After all, some of the users of cryptocurrencies, especially early on, were quite sketchy, so banks didn't want to get involved. Nonetheless, if you're a crypto company, you need a bank to receive wire deposits. So Bitfinex decides to start relying on something called Crypto Capital. Now, this company probably deserves its own video, Crypto Capital, but suffice to say, they worked with a lot of, let's call it, needy clients. You know, people who couldn't go anywhere else besides a sketchy non-bank to bank with. People who needed their money moved without anyone knowing where it was from. I mean, I'll just say it, like money laundering, basically. To put it into perspective for the types of people Crypto Capital were working with, the Colombian drug cartel were later implicated with Crypto Capital. So we're talking some seriously sketchy business partners here. But look, Bitfinex is desperate. They need banking. So they start working with them, depositing hundreds of millions of their clients' funds with them. And for a while, things were going great and smoothly. But this time, it would prove that Bitfinex and Tether were the ones who would be duped because they trusted somebody. See, the feds were onto crypto capital. After an illegal escort website called Backpage was busted, guess who was implicated? Well, you guessed it, crypto capital. And when the feds came knocking, everyone's funds got seized. I mean, we're talking the shell account funds, the ones holding Bitfinex's clients' money. Reports say that at this point, Bitfinex had $850 million frozen in this giant international money laundering case. And I mean, this is huge. According to internal documents, in June 2018, Bitfinex told their point of contact at Crypto Capital that over 80% of client funds were controlled by Crypto Capital. Translation? That's it. We're insolvent. If we can't get access to those funds that we deposited with Crypto Capital, we don't have the money. So Bitfinex is even more desperate than ever. They can't find a solution. They're about to blow up, just like so many crypto exchanges have done in the past. I mean, after all, there's no way to magically patch an $850 million hole in your balance sheet. Right? Absolutely wrong. Suddenly, Bitfinex realizes they have something no one else has ever had in their possession. A flying Lamborghini. No, I'm just kidding. They have a money printer. And this money printer also has massive private reserves. So rather than go bankrupt, Bitfinex instead takes $400 million from Tether's reserves. And suddenly they can meet withdrawals and not go out of business. They basically bailed themselves out, is what I'm trying to tell you right now. And meanwhile, even though they're still short tons of cash, they proceed to lie to the public and issue a statement saying Bitfinex is not solvent, and a constant stream of Medium articles claiming otherwise is not going to change this. Now again, they are insolvent. They don't have the money, but are we really surprised that they're lying yet again? Meanwhile, they're still trying to fight the bad press of all of this, and so they decide they need another attestation to show that their reserves are solid. To do this, they get another bank. Sorry, I know it's like a rotating cast of banks. Just go with me. This one's called Deltek, okay? Funny enough, one of the executives is actually the creator of Inspector Gadget, which is totally random and weird. But at this point, I could probably tell you anything and you'd believe me in this story because it's so insane. But anyways, they get this attestation from Deltek, and once again, they get back up to their old trick. See, on November 1st, 2018, Tether had Deltek give a public announcement that affirmed that Tether now had a balance of $1.8 billion in reserve. They had grown a lot by then, still making them backed 1-to-1. However, after Deltek firms this, November 2nd, Tether pays Bitfinex $475 million, to help plug the hole that's still in Bitfinex's balance sheet and kind of make them whole again. Of course, it naturally follows if you just took $500 million from one company and handed it over to this one, Tether's not backed the next day after they claimed that they were backed. Of course, they lied because it's these guys, right? So shady. But of course, nobody could have possibly known that at the time. And we actually didn't find this out until the New York Attorney General's office released their investigation. This means that what Bitfinex and Tether set out to do succeeded, which is deceiving their customers to buy more time. This means unequivocally, at least on November 2nd, and who knows for how much longer, Tether was unbacked by US dollars. And around this time, interestingly, Tether decided that maybe it was time to move the goalposts again. So what did they do? Well, around 2019, yet again, Tether's website suddenly changed without warning. After spending 5 years claiming to be 100% backed by USD, they changed it to this. Every Tether token is 100% backed by our reserves, not by US dollars, which include traditional currency and cash equivalents, and from time to time, may include other assets and receivables from loans made by Tether to third parties, which may include affiliated entities, collectively reserves. Every Tether token is also 1-to-1 pegged to the dollar. So they're saying it's still pegged to the dollar. Now we don't really know why though, because they can basically loan an insolvent parent company or co-company money as much as they want to bail them out. So what exactly is receivable? If that company goes under, it's a disaster. But look, I don't want to bog you down in explaining to you how completely insane that is. It's pretty obvious. The much more obvious question I think we can all ask ourselves now is, who in their right mind would trust this company at this point? Tether and Bitfinex, owned by the same company, have repeatedly lied, omitted, and misled people. And we've only done a basic history of what's happened so far. 2021 hasn't been much better for them either. The New York Attorney General's office investigated Tether for 2 years. And as a part of a settlement, they were fined millions of dollars, banned from New York, and the Attorney General couldn't be more clear. They say Bitfinex recklessly and unlawfully covered up massive financial losses to keep their scheme going and protect their bottom lines. Tether's claims that its virtual currency was fully backed by US dollars at all times was a lie. Which, wow, that's quite the statement. So, I bet you're asking yourself, Tether finally fessed up, right? Like that must be it. That must be where this story ends. Like, you'd be right in a normal world, but this is crazy land, right? Instead, Tether decides that to pretend basically this was all good news. And in yet another lie, but this time from their general counsel, Stu Hoegner, they said that the AG's office made no negative findings whatsoever that Tethers were not fully backed. That is completely wrong. Literally, the New York Attorney General said Tether's claims that it was fully backed was a lie. Stu Hoegner, the general counsel, says, they never found anything, made no negative findings that Tethers were not fully backed. So, look, Tether and Bitfinex, even when caught lying by the New York Attorney General, still lie about what even that says. Now, of course, many might declare any kind of settlement for Tether at all a win. I mean, at least they weren't shut down and everything fell apart, right? So that might be true to some extent. But don't forget, if this is a complicated fraud scheme, it wouldn't be unprecedented for regulators to fail to shut it down for a long time. Remember this guy? Bernie Madoff himself was discovered early on by independent researchers, but the SEC investigated and cleared him multiple times before the fraud unraveled. But regardless of what you think about whether Tether is guilty or innocent here, one thing is clear. Tether's money printer is running at an all-time high. At the beginning of this year, there were 20 billion Tether in circulation. Right now, there's 62 billion. They've printed 42 billion Tether in like 6 months. And are all those Tethers backed? Is Tether unbacked? Well, I don't want to say too much, right? I'll let you decide. I have my opinions on it. But either way, this story clearly isn't finished. Now, the last revelation we need to talk about in this whole debacle has to be the infamous pie chart Tether released, revealing their reserves breakdown for the first time. Previously, they had hidden what their Tethers were backed by after they left the dollar standard. But because of the New York Attorney General's settlement agreement, they had to publish this. They were forced to. Other people have done full breakdowns of what all this means, but the big headline here is that Tether has, according to them, huge amounts of what they call commercial paper. 49% of their total reserves, to be precise. Real quick, by the way, I know the number you're seeing says 65% for commercial paper, but that's a breakdown of the cash or cash equivalents, which only makes up 75% of Tether's reserves. So in Tether's total reserves, commercial paper makes up a total of 49%, which is 75% of 65%. I know the way they presented it is confusing, so I just wanted to clarify. What is commercial paper, says everyone in the room? Well, it's unsecured debt. It's debt that if they default on it, you don't have collateral. So in theory, I believe commercial paper is supposed to be only lent to like A-rated institutions. Like you're going to give it to like Apple or Microsoft or, someone you can trust to not fail because your debt is unbacked. But who is Tether giving that money to? We simply have no idea. 49% of $60 billion, which is roughly way more than any human can ever spend. Theoretically, Tether could almost lend anyone unsecured debt, get an IOU, and according to them, that Tether would be backed. Meanwhile, how much actual cash on hand does Tether have? Just about 3%. Pretty incredible for a company that claimed only a short while ago that it was always one-to-one backed by traditional currency held in our reserves. Now every Tether is backed 1 to 0.03 by traditional currency held in its reserves. But now that you're up to speed on Tether and their history, maybe it's time to stop talking about the past and instead talk about the future and its implications. And this comes to the opinion part. These are my thoughts, okay? So this is not fact here. Two things seem true to me. Tether leadership often lie and have a long history of being shady. The second thing is that Tether's absolutely massive. It has passed PayPal in how much money they're actually holding. Not only that, according to the Financial Times, Tether's commercial paper holdings immediately place it as, quote, one of the world's largest investors in the U.S. commercial paper market, rubbing shoulders with the likes of fund managers Vanguard and BlackRock, and dwarfing the investments of tech giants like Google and Apple. Another quote further down the article is even more alarming. Quote, until last week, we really hadn't heard of them, said a trader at a large bank. It was news to us. To put Tether's absurd size in another way that illustrates how weird this is, they are currently the biggest company in the world in terms of assets per employee in the world by far. According to LinkedIn, Tether has 13 employees, but 62 billion under management. That's almost $5 billion per employee. Literally, it is the biggest fintech company in existence right now. Tether is huge, which leads to an kind of obvious conclusion. If it's fraud, big if, it's going to be really, 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 really bad. How bad? I mean, it's hard to know. Crypto influencers, mostly, the FUD ones, try very hard to paint a rosy picture, pointing out that even if Tether's 100% unbacked, Tether is only worth 60 billion compared to the entire crypto market, which is like 2 trillion. And they would say, you just kind of take 60 billion out of 2 trillion, it's not that much. However, due to Tether's special role in the market, I'm not sure I agree. Tether's collapse isn't just about 60 billion winking out of existence, because Tether is the #1 medium of exchange for people to get in and out of crypto, which means when that liquidity suddenly disappears, it's going to be a lot worse than people think. Will Bitcoin and crypto survive? Yeah, probably. Will it be pretty? Will it be just $60 billion? Probably not. Now, of course, there are alternate timelines to consider as well. Maybe Tether never collapses. Maybe after years of incompetence, lies, and deceit, they righted the ship. They're changed people. Only time.
I Amazoned a book for this person. I heard this person likes Amazon, so I got this for them. He who shall not be named, who submitted this cease and desist letter to me to try to get me to shut up. I have this book for this individual. Previously on Fake Guru. Guys, we have an epidemic of fragile millionaires. I'll tell you the normal plan for a lot of these fake gurus who want to evade criticism is to send a cease and desist letter to me, which I will promptly throw in the trash, and then he can subpoena me, and I have liability insurance, and I will continue talking about you. I'll talk about you all day. But ultimately, it's not about him having a realistic claim. It's about him silencing criticism and hoping it goes away. And anytime someone wants to hide the truth, it becomes that much more important to tell.
We do not speak his name.
Welcome to Fake Guru! Today we have an exciting story. Guys, we have a hot race for the Fake Guru Trophy of the Year, Fake Guru of the Year. It's very exciting. I thought KT9 had it sealed, but this contains the Dark Horse's attempt to take back the throne. He who shall not be named. In this video, say his name in the comments at your own risk. This envelope contains a cease and desist letter from he who shall not be named towards the channel. It's confidential according to this legal team. I've carefully reviewed it, and I have a few things to say about the contents and the type of person who would send this. And then, as a show of good faith, yours truly, Sifu, is going to show you guys how to be magnanimous, how to be generous. I'm going to offer this person a gift from me to he who shall not be named. Okay, so starting with the contents of this, guys, I wish I could tell you more. Listen, it's very explicit. The cease and desist letter is confidential. I'm no lawyer. I looked it up online. It's kind of hard to tell what I can say, what I can't say. So I am not going to be revealing the contents, the exact contents of what's going on in here. But I'll tell you what's very clearly obvious and doesn't reveal anything about the thing. It has to do with things I've said about he who shall not be named. It's the, you know, it's just the defamation, cease and desist. The problem is that it doesn't have any merit, right? It's a SLAPP lawsuit.
SLAPP is an acronym that stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. These are frivolous suits with no legal merit, specifically designed to stifle public debate or dissent. And these happen all the time. The characteristic of SLAPP suits, the whole point is to put the defendant through a difficult, painful experience. And even if cases fail in lower courts, as they often do, the plaintiffs can find ways to extend them through intensive discovery requests, depositions, and appeals that drain the target's time and resources. And alarmingly, journalists are not the only ones targeted with SLAPP suits. In some cases, they can be used to silence citizen activists.
It's made to shut me up, guys, and we're not going to shut up. In America, you know, again, it's not Korea. All these gurus think we live in Korea. But guys, we haven't broken any laws. This has all been within free speech, fair criticism, fair use, consumer advocacy work. I don't have a course to sell you, right? This person might be able to say, hey, if a guy with a course talked bad about me, then we have a problem because maybe he's trying to profit off of the people that I lose. But I'm not getting people buying a course when they leave this guy. I'm just saving them $2,000. That's all I'm doing. So the lawsuit's ridiculous. And for that reason, and because I also promised you guys I would do it, it is going into, well, that was anticlimactic, the trash. Because it's ridiculous, and it's an attempt to bully me and silence me, and we're not gonna let that happen, guys. We're not gonna let that happen on Coffeezilla. I told myself two things when I started this channel. I said, number one, no one's off the table. No one's off limits. That means that even when I talk to these gurus, a lot of them have approached me behind closed doors trying to chum up to me. I can't make friends with these guys. I don't say, hey, since we're buddies, I'm not gonna make a video about you. That's not how this works. If you're a fake guru, you get called out. But number two, the second rule of Coffeezilla is that we don't respond to intimidation. We don't respond to legal threats. We don't respond to threats against my financial situation. You know, I'm not rich, guys, right? I spend most of the money made from this channel directly back into our liability insurance to protect us from bullies, right? So this isn't for me, right? It's for you, the people. It's why I have people like Garrett on, the teacher who joined to High Ticket Closer and lost $26,000. It's why I have anonymous interviews with people who lost $13,000 with all manner of scams. Because this ultimately is about getting you the information, and we cannot back down to threats like this. So I'm just here to tell you what's happening, to update you on what's going on. We're being legally threatened, basically. It's a matter of take down the videos, the posts, or else. But we're not going to do it. And come hell or high water, you know, whatever they decide to do, we will be reporting on it. We will be talking about it. They're not going to silence Coffeezilla. But number two, I have a gift for this person. He who shall not be named. Okay? And let me explain the gift before I talk about it. Guys, as we saw in the last video, I think there's a bit of an ego problem here, right? There's a bit of a feeling when you make a certain amount of money that I can just throw money at problems to make them go away. I don't actually have to allow free speech about me. I don't actually have to allow bad posts about me. I can just silence criticism. And I think a certain type of person does that. I think there's a psychology behind it. I think it's some kind of a syndrome. I think there's a little problem going on here. And so to help that little problem, I Amazoned a book for this person. I heard this person likes Amazon, so I got this for them. Okay, so if this person would like to anonymously contact me, he who shall not be named, who submitted this cease and desist letter to me to try to get me to shut up, I have this book for this individual. If they would like to send me their address, I can ship it right to them. But let's just open up the book and see. We'll reseal it later, but I want to show you guys the book that was for this person. so they can see what a great prize they'd get if they would just stop trying to silence me all the time. Look, check it out. This is a book that I feel is appropriate for the type of person who feels that they need to silence critics online who are calling out predatory behavior. This is a book I feel is appropriate for people who get very testy when you talk about them for any reason at all. You know what I mean? Look on the back, we've got the almost an inch ruler. Well, look, I don't know about the specifics, for the contents, but my guess, I hear that he's a leading authority on helping people, with maybe confidence issues, maybe some kind of some kind of a psychological syndrome. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing anybody. I don't know if this person has this situation. My guess is that if there is a situation, it might be a small situation, worth getting addressed. I hear meditation is good. Hold on, look at that. They even have little illustration. Obviously, this is all a joke, and I'm not saying anything about anyone's problems, big or small. But what I am saying is that, I do sometimes wonder about the people who are submitting cease and desist letters for YouTube videos, right? I do wonder about that. And so if I get an email address, if they'd like to go ahead and put that, I can go ahead and send that to you. I'm really thinking that it might be a book that is applicable to a lot of these gurus selling courses. I think it'd be valuable. They all read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, but have you heard of Ant Smith? Have you heard of Ant Smith? Things to think about. Obviously, I don't want a lawsuit. Nobody wants a lawsuit, but I refuse to be silenced. I refuse to have, not just for me, but I refuse to have the voices of the victimized and the preyed upon be silenced as well. I refuse to let it happen, guys. Until next time, I love you guys. I love the support of the Coffeezilla fake guru army.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to cut it straight with you. I have no idea why anyone watches this channel. No discernible life skills, except for just ranting in a $10 million studio. And by the way, that's all. That's a house of cards that's folding down real quick. Okay, rent's coming due, and I am underwater. The bank account there's not even a balance. It just says overdrawn all the time. Over here in debt, wondering what to do, and suddenly I had a moment. An Archimedes Eureka moment where I was sitting right here, just admiring my knowledge. And I said to myself, Stephen, you have no skills. You pissed away your degree. Quite frankly, done nothing with it. You had that coffee break channel. You don't do anything with that. No life skills. What can you do if you have no life skills to speak of? And I realized, become a YouTube wealth advisor. That's right, guys. This is my big announcement. I'm now a YouTube wealth advisor. You can expect exciting new videos like the top 10 altcoins, or 5 coins to $5 billion, or, how to invest for dummies. Buy a dummy. That's what you can expect from this channel now. Now, why would I do that? But before I get into that, let me first say I've got to shill the channel. Pump the stock. Pumpzilla, not the penny stock or whatever that is. Pumpzilla, the channel, please. It costs you nothing, for free. You can subscribe, like. But anyways, why am I qualified to be a wealth advisor? Well, like I said, I have no skills, so that already qualifies me to a certain extent. But I also have something none of these other guys have. I was looking like, what makes a YouTube wealth advisor popular? What makes people like them? And the answer is, of course, that they have a lot of
knowledge.
I mean, a lot of, cars, though, but knowledge in the sense of, in the truer sense, which is what knowledge really is, right? We don't actually think that knowledge is about knowing things. It's actually about having nice cars that you can flex on other people. So I was looking at Ricky, obviously a top tier YouTube wealth advisor. What does Ricky have? The baby blue Lamborghini Huracan. Look, that qualifies him. Yeah, qualification. Look, there's that. You got old Graham Stephan here.
What's up, you guys? It's Graham here.
Sick car, Graham. Okay, you're qualified. Meet Kevin, qualified.
Awesome hard top convertible, which
yes, dude. Look at that. Who's this? What the hell? This guy.
Nice wheels.
Yeah.
This guy ain't a wealth advisor. What is this? What kind of car is this?
Caddy?
I think it's about 5 years or so.
Okay, obviously this guy has no social presence. Sorry about. I don't know how he snuck in there. Look, there we go. A real wealth advisor.
Hey, this is Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor, and
mentor.
trader, and I am here going to look for my new exotic car.
Look, he's qualified. Clearly, he's passed the test. Now, why am I going to tell you today that I'm the new #1 wealth advisor on YouTube, on this platform? And I want everyone to say it. Why? Let me show you. It's very simple. They can go like this with their car, right? That's pretty normal. Coffeezilla wealth advisor. I mean, need I say more, though? I mean, literally, your guru, who's your favorite guru? Can they do this? What's Dave Ramsey got on this? What does Meet Kevin have to answer to this? What's Tom Nash got? You think he's got one of these? No, this is a one of one. They